Hello again, Glitch Trooper here, aka the original card game for the win, and I was going to show off a little something that I was able to do. I already kind of went into the store, but there's kind of a special bundle you can get for, oh, it just zipped by here, for Innistrad Alchemy, and I did it. I kind of saved up some gold, and I got myself a set of the packs while they were on sale, because you get 20 of them for 15,000. When it comes to gold, or some amount of gems. But anyhow, it's actually a pretty good deal because it's like 20 of them for the price you'd normally pay for 15. So you're getting yourself a considerable bonus, and it's something where I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to collect this casually because of how they're doing it. Now, I'm hoping maybe in Alchemy events that your card rewards will actually bias towards Alchemy, but I haven't seen that happen quite yet in terms of your individual card rewards. Now, I would like to take a good look at it again, and maybe at some point I'll try those again and see if I can get some more, but it's something I haven't done too much of because I've been kind of needing to do some other things to kind of build up to this one, and the events are kind of a bit different, so I'm not sure if there's a good way to more properly collect it right now. So that's kind of a bit of an issue. To a fair degree, actually. But if I can find out later that alchemy events do bias towards the actual alchemy cards, then yeah, I'll probably do more of those over time whenever I have a little extra to deal with. But for now, I'm just going to kind of show opening about 20 of these in one shot. Because hey, it'll be good to just kind of build up to my to help power up my rares and mythic rares for a little while, because I do have some whole sets I'd like to kind of finish off, and I need a lot of wild cards for that. But this has some good stuff, so let's see if I can come across some while I'm opening. Okay, always nice to get an extra wild card. This one's a good one in and of itself, because that tenacious pup is the next creature that enters after you play it gets several counters at once, so it's like, yeah, next one is just going to be a very buff creature. I get a straight up rare wild card. Okay, nice. I can use that. It's also kind of a sign of if I want to spend that extra one on something from this set, I might, because I kind of got something in mind for a bit of a wild idea later. Okay, but note that this is mixed in with Crimson Vow, which I'm actually not liking that. I was actually hoping that this would be entirely alchemy cards when I was opening these, and I quickly found out it was kind of mixed like this. So I'm kind of a bit against how they're doing it that way. I'm really hoping that they do it like just the alchemy cards for that alchemy set, like from now on, or in the future I should say, because mixing them in, I mean, sure, you might get some that you was waiting for from another set, but I doubt that that's going to be what you're going to be after when you're opening alchemy packs. Okay, Legendary Demon. I was wondering whether or not I was really wanting to get this guy, but now I have another Legendary Demon for my collection of Legendary Demons. So, okay. I mean, he is cheap to play and has Flying and Death Touch, so he could come in handy for killing some very large creatures. So, yeah, there's that aspect of him, so that's good. Angel of Unity is an interesting one, because whenever it enters the battlefield or you cast a party spell, choose a party card in your hand and it perpetually gets +1/+1. Perpetual is basically added on to other kinds of effects. It basically means that it doesn't stop whenever it changes zones, and can sometimes be targeted to something in a zone other than the battlefield. So you can basically grant a creature card in your hand +1/+1 forever before it even hits the battlefield. That's something that I've already done in the digital-only formats like Jumpstart and or jump in, jump start, and alchemy. Well, jump start isn't like really as digital only as like jump in was whenever they added some special cards, but you kind of get what I mean, because they were doing some pretty interesting experiments, and some of them were really cool. Clone Crafter. Okay. I could see blinking this one to make absurd amounts of stuff. Yeah, that's very useful. I like it. Thank you. I'm going to enjoy that one in the future. I definitely know I'm going to do that. Okay. Curse-bound Witch is interesting because of the spellbook has a lot of interesting stuff. The Cauldron, which is Vengeance, Oven, the Cottage. The Familiar. The Curse, or Few. The Cat. More cats. Brooms! And bats. A very unwilling ingredient for your potion crafting. Something to power up, said unwilling ingredient. Yeah, this one is classically insane. I really need to get that one the normal way at some point. For Arena, I've already got it on Magic Duels, but of course, your collection of Magic Duel stuff doesn't go here, except for the ones, of course, that have been rehashed and already on here, but you get what I mean. I mean, there's a little crossover, but not much. Torment of Scarabs, classic. So you get a lot of curses and witchy stuff with this one, and whenever it dies, you draft a card. So basically you get to select one of 3 random cards that pop up on the screen, and then you select it, and then it goes into your hand. And the others just, yeah, they weren't drafted by you, so they just disappear. But the fact is, when this dies, and it only costs 1 black mana to initiate this, again, things could get pretty wild if you know how to keep replaying cards from your graveyard, which is totally a thing in Arena. Oh my gosh, how much I could totally do that with some things I already have. It would be just hilarious. And very much just totally breaking some serious other rules. It would just be wild. So I could totally break a lot of the game with that one card. So, yeah. Okay. A mythic rare wild card straight up. Sweet! I'm gonna do something with that. Another one that when they die, you get a card from their spellbook. And it's got some interesting stuff here. Mostly enchantments. And very good enchantments, might I add. So these are, and some of these are just like straight up classics, like going with Anthem there. Oh, the teleportation circle to be able to blink other things. Yeah, that's. I was mentioning blinking some of this stuff because of the whole when it enters the battlefield thing with some of that. Oh boy, that's gonna be it's gonna be wild. Oh, cleric class for the cleric, beautiful. Okay, so that one just has a pretty good spellbook, and the whole spellbook aspect is definitely interesting in and of itself. And it's kind of something they could theoretically adjust over time, and they've even mentioned that for things with spellbooks that they might do so. So we'll see how that goes in the future. Terrell's Disciple. Not my first of them, but absolutely awesome in some interesting ways. You're conjuring 4 cards into your library. So they won't show up immediately, but they might, because you never know the next time you draw a card. And if you keep, like, shoving it full of lightning bolts, things are gonna get very zappy. Although Wyatt chose to use kind of the Mystical Archives version of artwork, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, there's various classic versions of lightning bolt that you could also have used, but just saying. Of course, I'm getting a rare wild card just from opening that pack because of the timing. Fearsome Whelp is interesting because you keep making your dragons cheaper. Yeah, you can have a giant dragon coming up at some point. that one could get... That thing's interesting in of itself, because you can seek a card and get a... You get to seek a land, put it right on the battlefield, and you get to seek another permanent card with mana value equal to the number of lands you control after that. So that could really build to some stuff. Suntail Squadron. You can just conjure a whole bunch of Suntail Hawks, which is actually interesting in and of itself. So just saying, okay, I've got a bunch of birds now. So bird is the word. Straight up, uncommon wild card. Nice. It's like, why are they just biasing it between above and below with this in its own way? Frenzied Geist Blaster. That just seems very, very, very niche build use. I mean, I've seen Spellslinger decks that could actually pull this off, but not very often. On the other hand, the more of them you're playing when he's already out, the more prowess he gets. That's actually more useful than the second effect there. Just saying. I'm seeing some more whelps showing up, and another a very good equipment, because being able to just repetitively seek cards is something that can be kind of ridiculous. Ravenous Pursuit. So the more damage you deal past what you need to kill a creature, the more something in your hand gets perpetually that in both power and toughness. So, okay, that's kind of ridiculous for basically a cost of 2 mana. Especially if the next card is, say, Questing Beast. Okay, some good stuff there. An Effigy. Not exactly the colorless one I was looking for, but it'll do. You get, again, more birds. You know, I might readjust one of my big bird decks, and that is bird is the word, and put some more bird stuff in it from this set specifically. Because that's something that's kind of going in that direction. Plus got a common wild card that round. Okay, next up. I think I have the full amount of Fearsome Whelps and Brittle Blast that I could have now. Just saying. Harbingers. Okay, and now this is kind of like how I was saying it would be good to play the other one with something fast. I mean, I said Questing Beast specifically, but Trample and Haste on this thing. Not even legendary, so you could have more than one up your sleeve. Enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters, where X is the number of turns you've begun since it was foretold. Interesting, because you need to foretell this card, and it's actually got a foretell cost that's actually more expensive than the original cost, so it kind of guarantees that you will probably need to cast it with a number of turns afterwards. So this one's basically a time bomb that you wait until you have an opening, cast it, and then just smash very hard. Someone's probably going to get the Raging Demon Wolf style with that thing. Hey look, it's a giant wizard. Forsaken Crossroads. Enters the battlefield tapped. You get to choose a color. When nears the battlefield, scry 1. If you weren't the starting player, you may untap Forsaken Crossroads instead. Add 1 mana of the chosen color. So this lets you basically pick a color for it to mean afterwards. So it's one of those that's good for just a general land to use for multicolor decks, because then you can pick whichever mana color you don't currently have. So that's an interesting land, to say the least. And I like the art on it. It's just like, Where is this land for which I have came? Okay. Okay, here we're going. And we're starting to get closer to that. So, yeah. More uncommon. Another faithful disciple with all the enchants. Begin anew. Destroy all creatures. Creature cards in your hand perpetually get +1/+1. It's like, yeah, let's just descend upon them with bigger creatures next time after we wipe the board. Very good for if you have indestructible creatures or things that you can temporarily blink out, hit the board with this, and then whenever they pop back in, there they go. So, I can see how you could very strategically bias the board right after that. Of course, if you return your own creatures to your hand right before using this, that's going to be an even bigger army. So that one has some interesting possibilities. Another Angel of Unity. So time to party hardy. Okay, yeah, there's that. That's an interesting counter. Counter target spell, seek a card with the same mana value as that spell. Okay, so you get to seek one of your own if it has the same value as the one you just countered from your enemy. Interesting. Conductive Current. Basically powers up another instant or sorcery card you've got after it's been fired off. So, yeah. That could be interesting. Which is even more interesting because there are certain instants and sorceries that have some way of getting otherwise cast again, so you could kind of do a little bit of reverb action while that. Another witch. Another whelp. I know now I'm definitely maxed out on my whelps. There's like no doubt now. Because I know I've gotten at least 3 over the course of this. The Obsessive Collector. Very good for my idea of doing more with spirits, so yeah. And this one has Flying Ward 2. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, seek a card with mana value equal to the number of cards in your hand. Okay, so you could seek some interesting stuff that way. Okay, I definitely have all the witches that I have at least 4. I'm pretty sure I've got at least 4 witches now, or at least 3. So if I could certainly say that it's fine to wish for more witches in this case because again, very good usable card, and of course another giant wizard. Blood Rage Alpha. Here's the battlefield again. Blinkety blinkety. Choose one. Another target wolf or werewolf you control fights target creature you don't control. Or when you cast your next wolf or werewolf spell, it gains. When this creature enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So basically, it's just going to want to attack things. But that's fine. That works out beautifully in many situations. Break expectations. Okay, lots of interesting things may result from this. But you kinda gotta choose who's gonna get the little boon of this thing too. Because that kind of may, it may put a twist on things. Geist of Regret. Okay, I got both of the spirit cards out of this set that were just off the wall. So, yeah. This one's a little weirder, but the upshot is that if you're casting instants and sorceries from your graveyard, is that you also get to copy them instantly. and get to choose new targets for it. So you can kind of do a little bit of classic copy shenanigans. Oh, there's some things in Strixhaven that would absolutely mesh with that beautifully. Uncommon and a common wild card. Sweet. Geist Channeler. Okay. You choose an instant or sorcery card in your hand with mana value 3 or greater, and it perpetually gains the cost 2 less. After it enters the battlefield again, with some serious blinking shenanigans, that could wind up being absolutely crazy. One way to cheapen some cards out that nobody would expect coming. So I was like, okay, just whack. It's like, okay. At first you did not have enough mana for that, suddenly it works. So, yes, I have mythics now. That's one of them I was wanting specifically. Ominous Traveler. And the reasons why is kind of interesting. For one thing, its special abilities are cool. He's a mysterious hooded figure, and the Ominous Traveler here is completely colorless despite not being an artifact creature, which means there's very little that protects against that specifically. In terms of like, like protection type abilities, but otherwise, yeah. Like, first of all, here's the battlefield. You draft a card for Ominous Traveler's spellbook. That card perpetually gains. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast the spell, and whenever you cast the spell, return a creature named Ominous Traveler you control to its owner's hand. So you can kind of keep doing that because it combos with itself. And some of the ones that you can get include Dominating Vampire, Vampire Socialite, Stromkirk Blood Thief, Falconwrath Pit Fighter, Wolfkin Outcast, Halpak Piper. And again, there's some really crazy stuff you could do with that Piper. Yeah. Tovolar Dire Overlord, so you can get a legendary creature through this one, even though itself is not legendary. On occasion that happens in Magic the Gathering, but not often. Patrician Geist, Shipwreck Sifters, Steelclad Spirit, Heron Blessed Geist, Archghoul of Thraben, Champion of the Perished, Headless Rider, and Blade Stitch Scab. So you have like a lot of various things that can show up after the Ominous Traveler does some work. So yeah, I was hoping for that. Very, very specifically. So yes, I did enjoy that one quite a bit. Okay, again, I definitely have enough of these pups right now. Antique Collector. Okay, this one's interesting. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Again, I really hope one of these days they give that ability a name. It comes up a lot. And I would vote for Awe, meaning creatures are in awe of that one, so they just stand there while it zooms around and attacks. So that's kind of why I think that ability should just be called Awe. It's an A-W-E, Awe. And that is also an ability that, again, the Questing Beast has, so yeah, that somehow manages to connect again. Now, when this one enters the battlefield, creatures you control perpetually gain. When this creature dies, you may shuffle it into its owner's library if it's in your graveyard. If you do investigate, meaning as long as it's not being exiled, that those creatures that were there when this thing hits, they're not staying down permanently because they'll just keep popping into your library, and you get to investigate. So you're gonna have some serious clues after a while. A good board clear with that hits, and suddenly you've got a lot of clues. and they're still coming back eventually, even if not immediately, but eventually. So that would just have some wild results in all sorts of directions. So that is a good one. I'm pretty sure that's my last copy I needed of that, but I'm not entirely sure. Geist Chandler. Here's the battlefield. Choose an instant or sorcerer card in your hand. But, yeah, that was the one I got earlier. So, we got another Geist Chandler. So, I got a wizard that's channeling spirits. So, yeah, that happened again. Now, just to kind of show about how things have been affected, I'd like to just do a quick... yeah, I got a lot of those cards that quickly. See, wait, was that one thing my fourth of... I guess I only got 4 of those giant wizards. And yeah, it was my 4th of that thing, like, in a row, so, okay. I got all 4 Angels of Unity in one shot, and Faithful Disciples. I didn't actually max out on the Curse-Bound Witch. I'm kind of surprised on that. I'm kind of surprised. I did max out on my whelps. I realized that would totally be a thing. Okay, yeah, that I realized very quickly was like totally going to happen. Yeah, I realized I'd probably maxed out on my tenacious pups, so yeah. I'm not surprised by that with all that was happening. Is there anything else that I maxed out on my Soul Stealer Axe. I'd already had one before whenever I got that, so that whole set there. And of course, again, the Ominous Traveler. That's got to be some interesting things that happen, and I'm curious how that can work out with some situations there. Okay, and that's basically everything I got there. It's always interesting when I get a Scarecrow, because I've been wondering, like, that is a very interesting artifact creature type, just like almost exclusive to artifact creatures is Scarecrows. And it would be interesting, like, just be like, we have this whole field full of Scarecrows, and be like, oh, okay, just all these Scarecrow creatures would be interesting. Like, that would be just kind of a funny thing to do at some point. And I do have plenty, so I could totally do that. That's what makes it really funny. Okay, anyhow, I'll be kind of, I'm actually, I'd say the best thing to really do would actually be to just kind of head off a little bit of a different way. I'm kind of showing off a bit more of things in this general collection. And there is a lot. Some are really cool. But yeah, just kind of going off this way. So, I've been Glitch Reaper. I'll be logging off. Hope to hear from you all later. And remember, MTG forever.